They don't want you knowing this. They don't want you knowing this. There are some things that you are not supposed to know if you're not a politician or you're not a celebrity. And I'm talking about that today because it just gets me sick to the stomach to know that this is a thing, and I know about it, but I'm keeping my mouth shut. I can't keep my mouth shut any longer. I've seen too much. I know too much. And I need to kind of explain to you guys everything that I've learned these past few years, which honestly I can't unsee. And the fact that I even have to sit down and talk about this is sad. It's disturbing, and it should never be the case. And I'm so sorry to anyone else out there that has to live with, what's on their conscience. Like I had to, and I'm not keeping my mouth shut anymore. I'm talking about this, and I'm publicizing it for everyone to see, because I think that's what needs to be done. I think it should have been done a long time ago by everybody involved. I don't care what your background is, where you came from, what your, gender orientation is, or your religious background. Because if you were there and you saw like what I saw, if everyone else that saw what I saw would know, like, this needs to be talked about, and it's big. This is big news. They're they're hiding it from you. They don't want you knowing. They don't want you waking up to this, because if you wake up to this, you're gonna see through their lies, and if you see through their lies, you're not a good sheep in the machine, and that's the thing. I need you to be ready to hear what I'm gonna tell you, because if you're not ready for it, it might honestly, you're not gonna understand it, and that's the thing. It's too much information, and it's very just concise to where you're not going to understand it unless you know everything leading up to it. So if you want to understand, you need to pay attention, because what I'm going to say, you're not going to grasp. And that's the thing. That's the thing with a lot of this knowledge out there. It's literally in plain sight. They just don't want you knowing, because if you know, you can break out of the matrix, and that's the thing. And I needed to bring this to attention, because I know some things. I've seen some things. The people I've met won't want me telling you this. And, having 300,000 followers on this account, how else do you think I got this? You know what I mean? How else do you think I got this many people that tune into my thoughts? It's because they're real, they're raw, they're honest, and they're nothing but full 100% recollection, encounters, and it's firsthand, and that's what I really cherish about this. So to all of you guys that are out there that are tuning in, I just wanted to say thank you. Stay vigilant, and yeah, just don't let this spread. Like, if you're watching this, you need to just keep this to you, because it's how it's meant to be. If it's recommended to you, it's recommended to you, and not your Aunt Teresa. You know what I mean? Because it's a reason. It's almost, you could say, the universe talking to you in a sense. And that is one of the most beautiful, beautiful things you could ever go through. So I need to start off by saying that. Regarding, what I was talking about earlier, you hear that? You hear it? It's the frequencies. Yes, that's what I said. Everything around us has a frequency. Okay? You probably heard this before. This isn't new information. But that's also an energy. Did you catch that? This is new information. If it's new information, that in itself, that phrasing, the way of coming up with that those lexical, the lexical configuration, if you will, that was energy, right? Me saying, like, me using these word choices, that's a particular energy. It puts that energy out there. So when they talk about manifesting, why do you think the most, influential or established people manifest things? Because they know they're able to tap into these energies. And that's what the majority of the people, because they're sheep, because of the government, because of the school systems, they don't want you knowing this. And that's the thing. And that's how, if you can break through, you're going to get to a whole other level that you weren't able to even fathom prior to this. So like I was saying, frequencies. Pay attention. Pay attention. What's your TV frequency? I don't know. You should look it up. What frequency are you listening your music in? What key is it in? What key is it in? You hear me? Key. The key. Okay? It's important. What key is your music in? Is it lifting your mood? Is it bringing your mood down? Because guess what? Your mood determines your actions. And what do actions do? Actions become reality. Action after action after action. Correlation, causation. You know what I mean? Cause, effect. Action, effect. Action, effect. Causation, correlation. Do you see? Frequency. Remember that. Another thing they don't want you knowing, because that's all I can really leave you with, this frequency thing on here. I do also do consulting, but we'd have to talk about it. Hit me up on Instagram about that. But the frequencies, very, very good. Okay. Another thing they don't want you knowing, your food, the food supply. Well, guess what? The United States makes up about 120% of what the population is even able to consume in a year. So what does that mean? There's an additional 20% of food that's wasted. Now, kids in Africa starving? Well, that's literally a solution right there. But guess what? They're too cheap. They're too cheap. Who's they? I don't know. Figure that one out. When you figure that one out, it's going to make a whole lot of sense. Okay? Pay attention. 120%. That number is important, okay? The number doesn't change for a reason, okay? Call me crazy. I know something you don't. And it should stay that way. Because if you knew what I know, your mind would become a living hell. Because your mind would just go down spiraling like mine did. And you wouldn't be able to do anything about it. You'd think you would change your whole brain anatomy, your brain chemistry, the very being of who you are will change if you know what I know. And let's keep it that way. Let's keep it where I know and I inform you of certain things. That's how this is a very symbiotic relationship, and I think it's very, very, very important. So back to the agriculture in the United States. Agriculture, 120%. Now, my math may be a little bit off. I was not a math major. I was not a major in anything, matter of fact. I was a high school graduate. Did graduate top of my class, but definitely not college level, as you could probably tell with my math. But in terms of food, it all comes down to what they're spraying. Yeah, you heard me. What are they spraying? I don't know. Figure it out. And they wonder what's happening with these kids these days and why they're so ADHD. It's not just the TikTok. It's also their food. What are they putting in their body? Red 40? Pfft, Red 40. Don't even get me started on Red 40 and what I know about Red 40. You know that Red 40 caused ADHD. We already knew that. Guess what? If I see Red 40, no, not happening. Not eating it. If I see Red 40, you're getting slapped. Seriously. And I mean it. There's just so much to cover. because I already talked about frequencies. I already talked about the agriculture. Don't even get me started about the air quality and the carbon in the air. You know, the oxygen levels are about 20%. They used to be 30% around 200 years ago before the Industrial Revolution. And you got to really just think of that. Yeah? Oxygen levels, air pressure. Guess what? Air pressure decreased in the last million years. Why? I don't know. Look it up. HAARP? What do you know about HAARP? Yeah. Air pressure. HAARP. Look it up. Okay? Then you get me started on the U.S. military. Yeah. Why are we blowing so much money? Because we know things that other places don't know. How do we know that? Aliens. Aliens. You need to keep your eyes peeled, ladies and gentlemen. You need to keep... Yeah? You hear the AC turn on? That's Frank. Frank. Funny guy. But yeah, I mean, there's just so much, and I don't know if you're ready. If you're ready, just DM me. I can talk to you about it in the consulting. But there's just so much to cover, and this Hollywood knowledge, I don't even know if I can really talk about openly, because if I do, like, I already know it's gonna happen. Like, they're not even gonna go for me, bro. They're not even gonna go for me. They're gonna go for the people I care about, and that's the worst thing about this. That's why, you know, if I'm gone the next few weeks, it's not intentional, and it wasn't me. It wasn't, you know, that you know what I'm saying. It wasn't me. So just keep that in mind. Keep tabs. Your water. What do you know about the water? Because if you knew what I knew, you'd be going fully at home. Well, okay? No city water. Fluoride in the water closes your third eye. How do I know that? Look it up. Fluoride closes your third eye. Because guess what? If you can use your third eye and tap into the energy and the frequency around you, they can't control you. They can't control you if you can tap into the frequencies, okay? Arpeggiating frequencies. What do you know about that? You know what I mean? You don't know about none of that. You don't know about the keys. You don't know about, you know, notes and half steps and whole steps and all of the arpeggiation. You don't know about any of that. Because if you did, you wouldn't be here right now. You'd be in a fucking library reading. Knowledge is power, my friends. Knowledge is power. And with great power comes great responsibility. One of my favorite quotes. Because guess what? I live off that. I live off that. We gotta go? Okay. Anyways, that's my tidbit of information for you. There's a lot more. And if you want to hear the rest, let me know. Because I will. I will get to the bottom of this with you guys, because you deserve to know. If you're watching this, it's the universe telling you that there's more out there that you need to tap into. That's what it is. Angel numbers, gematria. You don't know about that, do you? Well, let's keep it that way. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate all the support. I did lose my password to this account for quite some time, which is why I haven't posted. But I got it back, and I'm giving you guys the content that the universe is telling me to do. And I gotta wrap this up. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.